Hello, I'm Sonia Wood from Oikos. Today I'm going to share with you about learning language arts through literature, the whole program. You will see here on the table we have got all the levels starting with Blue Book, which is the phonic teaching to read, presuming they haven't learned to read at all. You begin here. It's very, very nicely suited for home educating parents because there's a very helpful parent book that helps you step by step of the way in teaching a child to read. They move on from Blue Book up to Red Book, where they learn fluency in reading, and of course other grammar skills are starting to be introduced here. And then it goes to the Yellow Book, orange, purple, tan, green, grey and gold. Please note that it's color-coded. Learning language arts through literature, LLATL, is color-coded rather than graded. The reason for that is that a child could be 12 years old and starting at Yellow Book, which you could actually call grade 3. If you said they're learning to read in grade 1, moving on to grade 2, Red Book, this would be grade 3. But it's not, we don't want you to think of it as grade 3. We want you to think of it as the Yellow Book with skills that are pertaining to a particular child's level of learning. So you could have a much older child that is starting at this level because their home language might not be English, and so it doesn't matter that they're starting with the Yellow Book, because that's the level of their skill at the time. If you want to know how to establish or know what their actual skill level is, because maybe you've brought them out of school and you don't know what level they are at in their language skills, then you can do the placement test, which is also on the site. I would suggest you do that first, so you can then learn what your child's language skills are, their grammar skills, as well as their reading level. To give you an overview of how the program has been put together, Ruth Beechek has been very instrumental in the development of this program, and she's written quite a few books which we also have at Oikos. You can go and have a look at those as well. They're all very helpful, like You Can Teach Your Child Successfully in the 3 R's. So she is specialized in the field of languages, and she has been instrumental in the development of this curriculum. You'll also notice that LLATL is built around the actual novels that go with each level. And so naturally it's going to start with real beginner readers, and then slowly but surely, level by level, color by color, the reading level is going to increase in difficulty. And how the program works is a child reads the book. For example, if they're going to read Farmer Boy, they'd read that novel, and then there will be lessons pertaining to that novel. There'll be a book study and then literature lessons, and grammar lessons, and handwriting and spelling and composition, and a whole variety of language skills will be pulled from the actual book that they read, as well as extras. There's also enrichment activities in each level, and review activities are very helpful because after a few lessons you can do a review activity with your child to see whereabouts they're at in their understanding of what they've learned to that point. The reviewed activities are different to the enrichment activities because enrichment just enhances and adds more to that particular lesson. So your child will have 4 readers with each level, starting from the yellow, being 4 with each one, with the exception of green. There's 3 novels here. I haven't included blue and red in that because there's a lot of little baby readers for teaching them to read on those 2 levels. That's the beginning teaching to read phonic programs. Each level has a parent book and a student book, which is really handy for the home educating parent, especially if you're feeling a little concerned about your own ability to teach language. You don't need to, because the authors of LLATL are home educating themselves, and so they know what you need as a home educating parent. So the parent book is laid out very, very nicely for you, giving you instruction, and in the side margin here is the answers to what you need to have regarding what the students have done in their books. But I'm going to go into the actual detail of each one of these books with each individual level. This is just an overview for you. Before I go away from the teacher book, I want to show you there's a skills index at the back of the book, which is very, very helpful to the teachers and the parents that are using LLATL to teach children, because it's actually showing you lesson by lesson what the children are actually learning regarding language skills. So that's very helpful. A question a lot of parents ask is, how long does it take? Well, let's use Orange Book as an example. This could take a year. There are 36 lessons in each book, and that is standard throughout the whole LLATL program. But one student can take 2 years to do 36 lessons, and another might take 6 months. So although the program is broken into week by week and day by day lessons, you don't have to let that rule you. You must go according to the student that you're busy with, what their abilities are and how much they can actually do. We always encourage parents to please go slowly. Don't rush it. I want to just show you something. If this was grade 1, we go year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which would put us up to grade 9 if I was going by grades. And let me tell you, Gold Book is not grade 9 level. Gold Book is grade 11, 12, or 13. I'm saying 13 meaning the first year of college or university. So you've got 9 levels to do in the space of 12 years or more. If you've started later and your child is 10 and you've started at a level that is appearing to be below their grade at the time, it's okay, because they're going to catch up very quickly. I have a testimony to share with that. Our daughter started with the Blue Book, obviously, to teach her to read, and she's reading today, so there you go, it works. And we took 3 years on that book because it wasn't something that just came naturally and easily to her. And then we took 2 years on the Red Book. So now if we started at age 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I mean, I could now be as a parent going, oh, but look, she's so behind. She wasn't behind. She was doing very well considering her situation at the time. She was reading. That's what mattered. And she was enjoying reading. That's what mattered even more, because she was loving the books and loving the stories. And we really made the most of it. We made reading as pleasurable as possible, even though it was so incredibly difficult for her. So now she's getting to about age 10 and she's here. Well, by the time she was 18 years of age, she had completed Gold Book. Because what happened is once she was able to do languages and read effectively, she just flew. She would do 2 levels in 1 year because she was enjoying it so much. So I just want to remind you, you don't need to go according year by year by year. Please don't do that. Go according to each individual student. And another little testimony that I want to share here before we go off this overview is that an Oikos student that was using LLATL all her life she was home educated, and she used LLATL, well, her mother taught her through LLATL. This young lady heard about a group of refugees that could not speak English. So she phoned me and said, do I think Blue Book will work as a teaching to speak English program and teaching to read English? I said, well, it wasn't written for that, but you can give it a try. She had it at home from when she was a little girl. She took it off to the church and she started using it. Within 3 months, she phoned to tell me that it was very, very successful. She was using it for that purpose. So you see, LLATL can be used for adults to teach them to read English. So it's not about age. It's about the ability of the individual at the time when you start it. The other comfort that I can bring you is the fact that because there are only 9 books for 12 years, supposedly, you can take your time. I've emphasized that. But the other thing is it's very, very parent-friendly. Be reminded that this program is written with you in mind, that you are sitting with your child at home and you're teaching them languages and you're teaching them to read. You might think, well, where do I even begin? I don't know where to start. And so you start with Blue Book to teach your child to read. The other very positive thing about LLATL, which I can't leave off, and that is the fact that it is one complete comprehensive program. There it is for that level. That's it. That's what you have. You have parent book, student book, and 4 readers. It is really, really comprehensive. The only way I can really stress that and emphasize that is with each individual clip that I will do to show you about each book. A lot of home educating moms have told me how happy they are with LLATL, and it is so much fun because before they had 6 or 7 or 8 different language books that they had to use. A poetry book and a spelling book and a grammar book, and everything is included in the comprehensive LLATL program. So they really found that very, very convenient from a cost point of view and from a convenience point of view. And it doesn't mean things are being left out, because students that have only done LLATL all the way to the end are well equipped in language skills. Our daughter that I told you about that took a few years to do each level and flew through the last few levels, she has actually authored a few books, and she is very proficient in languages. So I would say it works. That's from our own experience. Our son, who was a resistant language learner, because he was the math science kind of guy, he didn't do LLATL enthusiastically. He didn't love his LLATL book. You know, he had some lead boots problems. But in the end, by the time he got to gold, what he was presenting to us from this was absolutely incredible. It was such a blessing. So I want to encourage you to persevere. Don't think because your child is struggling with it that it means it's not working. It just means you need to be patient and considerate of each child's ability and work with them and go slowly so that the language learning and lessons can be a pleasant experience and that reading can be something that becomes enjoyable. Another comfort for you to know is that we publish these books at Oikos. We've been given the printing rights. And so we can print on demand, as it were. So we don't have to worry about being out of stock. We have noticed that when people go shopping all over and look at different websites, you find just the parent book of purple, for example, and the student book somewhere else, and maybe only 2 readers. So it can become confusing for the parent because they don't actually realize that these 4 readers are absolutely vital for the LLATL program. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention about the readers, coming back to them, is that I'm going to use this example. I told you that there's 4 readers per level, not including green because it's got 3. But then we've got this 5th little reader here, Mr. Popper's Penguins. Now the reason why we've got this is it's because it's one of the books that they've taken excerpts out of to do language studies around. And then people get those little, well, the students, should I say, get little pieces of this book and it fascinates them. Good, because we want them to be fascinated by literature. And so then we get requests, please can we have Mr. Popper's Penguins? And so we source Mr. Popper's Penguins for you and we put it in as one of the extras for the language program. So that is now called an extra. However, these 4 are absolutely essential for the child doing a book study. There's a whole section in the student book on a book study on the particular book that they have, novel they have just read. Right, and all of these, as I have said, we are printing at Oikos. The majority, some we're not, because we don't have printing rights on them. But the actual LLATL program, the parent and the student book, we do have printing rights on. So we can keep bringing them to you. Obviously, we're going to try and do that as affordably as we possibly can, because that is what we want to do. We want to pass that on to you to keep the cost down wherever we possibly can. In fact, we have done a little bit of footage on how we make these books. So as you can see, we are printing and publishing the books here at Oikos. We hope you're going to find that interesting. It might be interesting for you to show the children how their books are actually made and created at Oikos for them to be able to use. There will be the occasional book that we won't be able to print for you because we do not have the printing rights. I'm not talking about the parent and student, I'm talking about the actual novels. An example would be with the gold British LLATL. There's a poetry book that has been out of print for a very, very long time. So we have made that available for you as an ebook. So as you can see, we are going to do our best always to keep these books in place for you so that when you go on the Oikos website, you will be able to order the parent, the student, and the 4 accompanying readers that go with it. So I hope that's given you enough of a broad overview of the language program that you can know now that it's everything you need for language arts and language skills and reading for your child or your children, however many that might be. If you want to know about each level, you can look at the individual clips for that. So thank you for watching. Bye.